Hey guys, this is Melissa with Love Covered Life, and today I would like to give you 7 tips on how to change your life overnight. I know that's a big claim, but this is something I have personally experienced. Sorry, my cat is climbing on me, so my video might shake a little bit. This is something that I have personally experienced more than once. So this video is for anyone who is dealing with depression, seasonal depression. A lot of people are dealing with that this time of year. Anxiety, panic attacks, nervousness, social anxiety. These are all things that I have had to deal with in my life. As somebody who dealt with childhood trauma that messed me up to the point where I had such severe social anxiety that I could not even carry on a conversation with someone. I couldn't get close to anybody. I was depressed for 20 years. I dealt with panic attacks that would come on out of nowhere for no reason. I could go through the list, but these are all things that have worked for me. These are all things that I use every day, and I want to share them with you so that they can be helpful to somebody else. So I will try to keep this video at a reasonable length. I tried to make it shorter, but I just kept thinking of more things that I had to add. So, number 1 tip on how to change your life overnight, and I forgot to say, all of these things have to do with learning to manage your mental and emotional state, because how you feel about your life, how you think about your life, that is your perception of life. That is your experience of life. And so you can change the entire way that you're experiencing your life just through changing how you think and feel about it. Anyway, tip number 1 is to develop a habit of gratitude. I'm not talking about just thinking, oh yeah, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that every so often. I'm talking develop a really extreme habit of gratitude. The goal is to make gratitude the lens through which you see everything. To make gratitude how you respond naturally and your first response to any situation, no matter how challenging the situation may be. So the tool that I use is a daily practice of gratitude. So every day, at the end of the day, I sit down and I write down at least 3 things, a minimum of 3 things that I'm thankful for that day. But here's the key. You don't stop with writing it down or thinking about it. You sit in that thought of gratitude until it fills you up, until you feel it on such a deep level. You just think and think and think about it until you just feel just surrounded and filled with so much thankfulness for this thing that you could just burst. So the feeling is where the magic is at. And I'm going to keep saying that because that really is how you change your life, with changing how you feel about your life. So I also do this in the morning. Just in the evening, I take my time, and it really helps me because then I'm thinking, I'm looking all throughout the day, what are my things, my 3 things or more that I'm going to be thankful for today. So you're training your mind to see the things that you're going to be thankful for. But I also do this in the morning, just a shorter version of it to get my day started off right. I'll just think of 3 things that I'm thankful for, and I'll have my earbuds on because it's part of my morning routine when I'm listening to my music and I'm doing my breathing exercises and my prayer and meditation, and then I do my gratitude, and I just sit there with my eyes closed, my music on, and I think of 3 things that I'm thankful for, and I just get into it. I get into the moment, and I just let it fill me up. So doing this regularly, what it does, again, is it starts to train your brain to see the things to be thankful for. So then when you find yourself in a situation that you might not necessarily naturally be so thankful for, you're training your mind to be thankful in those situations. So I'll just give you a couple examples. This is something that I don't naturally do well at. So say I've been in multiple situations over my life where, say, my car would not start. And of course, my first natural response is panic, stress, worry. What are we going to do? How are we going to make it work? But after doing this practice of gratitude for a couple of months every single day, I found myself in a situation where my car did not start. I was outside the city. It was below zero. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I was supposed to be going to work, but I had brought the wrong key, and then I couldn't get my car started to go back home. And I noticed that my first response wasn't panic. My first response was, I'm so thankful that I have a job with flexible hours, so this is okay. I am so thankful that if we end up having to go back down to one car again, I'm going to be forced to stay home and focus on school with the kids because things have been crazy and we really need to slow down. As it turned out, everything worked out. The car is just old. It was being difficult. It ended up starting. But it was really awesome being able to just skip that initial response of worry and stress and go straight to, what is there? Why do I need to be stressed about this? It doesn't do me any good. Let's just be thankful. So when you have a daily habit or a daily practice of looking for the things to be thankful for in a really extreme way, this becomes easier. And the tough situations in your life become easier to deal with. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is visualization or reimagining yourself and your life. So you are what you believe you are. I am what I believe I am. And as somebody who has dealt with a lot of crap in my past, like many people have, if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. I am what I believe I am. I can't blame anyone or anything else for how my life turns out because my power is in how I see myself, how I see my life, and how I respond to it. And one of the biggest tools that has helped me to overcome the really negative mindsets and negative images that I had about myself and about my life that from my past that continue holding me back is visualization. And so I do this not every single morning. I don't do it on the mornings I work because I have to get up early and I don't have as much time. But about 5 days a week, I will do this in the morning as part of my morning routine before I even get out of bed. The first thing that I will do is I put my headphones on, I put my music in my ears, my calm, relaxing music that helps me to get in that mood where I can visualize and I can create. And I go overboard with just reimagining myself. So I'll just give you a few examples of how I do this. Ask yourself, if you were your ideal self, who would you be? How would you interact with people? What would your life look like? How would you make people feel? How would you feel in your relationships with others? What role would you play in your relationships with others? What would your ideal life look like, and what would you look like at your ideal self? So just go overboard with this. Visualize it in vivid detail in your mind every morning. And again, stay in it until you feel like you are that person, until the feeling of what it would feel like to be that person and be living that life is so strong that you can get up and carry it with you in your day. And then this is the challenge. You have to stay in that feeling. Now, some people would criticize this because they would say, you're lying, you're not being honest with yourself. No, you make that feeling so strong that that becomes your new reality. And whatever happens to you in your day, you go back to that feeling, you go back to that vision, and you take a moment, close your eyes, and feel it until it is real. And then you step out into your life and you carry that feeling with you and you be that person. And the thing is that once you feel it so strongly like that, you become that person, because you become what you think and believe and feel that you are. So once you feel it strongly enough that you can carry it with you into your day, even when your day is challenging, then you are that person. So again, I'll give you examples of how I did this wrong. For many, many years, I'd have a vivid vivid imagination, and I would imagine myself screwing everything up in my life in all the wrong scenarios. I would go through conversations with people that I was going to have in my mind and just see myself just messing it up and people getting mad at me and my relationships failing. I would put a lot of energy into this stuff until I saw the things that I was imagining happening faster and faster and faster after I imagined them. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm creating this stuff. I need to start imagining the good scenarios. I need to start seeing myself the way that I want to be. And so now, for the year 2019, I had some goals, and I would get up every morning and visualize myself being this person. Some of my goals are changing for 2020. My most important goal in life now is to be as loving as I can possibly be. So I would see myself being that extremely loving person, just going throughout my day with this light shining out of my heart and being able to touch people and help people. And I want to bring my experience of heaven, what I've experienced in my memories and in my supernatural experiences that I've had in my life, where I've felt this peace and bliss and safety and just being unconditionally loved. And there's no words to even describe it in this world, but I want to bring that into this world through me so that people can experience it. So I will imagine and see in vivid detail in my head me being able to bring that to people feeling loved and secure and comforted in my presence. And I wanted to have a home where people would feel welcome and comfortable. So I would picture myself in this home that had more space for people to come and feel at home and feel welcome and loved and comforted. And I would picture myself being the best homeschool mom and giving my kids the best education full of life and adventure. It's really hard for me to tell if it's how much of it is happening outside and how much of it is happening inside. But my vision is so real, and how I feel about myself and about my life and about the people in my life, how I feel about my relationships. It is all so real in here that it doesn't even really matter. You know what I mean? It's in here, it's out here. It's like out here mirrors what's in here because this is the reality. And anyway, it's very powerful. I know it sounds weird, but I promise you, try it. It works. Your entire experience of life can change overnight because of this one thing. So my third tip is know your purpose. So when they studied the blue zones, which are the places in the earth where people are the longest lived, they found several things that these zones had in common. And one of them is that people knew their Ikigai, which is the Japanese word for purpose. They got out of bed and they knew why they were on this earth and what they were going to do about it. So I have found that having an Ikigai for myself, or I get out of bed and I know my purpose, I know what it is about, and I keep it very simple. It's been so good for my mental and emotional health, and it's really simplified my life. So my purpose is love. I keep it as simple as possible. Every day I get out of bed and my job is to love anybody who comes across my path, and that's it. It doesn't matter how easy or hard the situation, the answer is love. If somebody makes me mad, the answer is love. Sad, the answer is love. I feel insecure, the answer is love. I feel overwhelmed, the answer is love. There's conflict in a relationship, there's drama in a relationship, the answer is love. I'm not feeling well that day, that's okay. All I have to do is love people to the best of my ability. So it's really simplified my life and helped me clear out the junk in my mind and emotions that I had been carrying with me. Number 4 is change your story. I actually got this from Tony Robbins. My next couple of points I got from him. So by your story, I mean the inner dialogue, the story in here that you're telling yourself about various situations in your life. So oftentimes we aren't even aware of them. They could even be subconscious. But how you can tell if you have a bad story is look at your emotional state. When something happens to you or with regards to a certain situation or a certain relationship or even a certain room in your house. It could be anything. How do you feel about it? If you have that sinking feeling of dread or stress or panic, look at your thoughts. I guarantee you your thoughts will 99% of the time be the culprit. So ask yourself, what am I telling myself about this situation that causes this feeling, and how can I change it? What am I telling myself about my life, about myself, about this person, this relationship, about my marriage, my singleness, my health, my mental health, my physical health? So I'll give you some examples again of how I've done this wrong. One of the biggest examples in my life is when we first got our own place. 4 years ago, we moved into low-income housing, and we were really happy to have our own place, but the house, the floors were dirty and they would not come clean. The walls were dirty and I couldn't get them clean. The windowsills were dirty and I couldn't get them clean. And it was cramped. It was so cramped, it always looked like it was cluttered no matter how much I organized. So I had a choice there, and for a little while I did get sucked into those emotions of, like, when I would go home and walk in, just this sinking feeling of, oh, it just doesn't feel very homey in here. Or, we would be so crowded. We just didn't have space to really do anything. And it was really easy to just get stuck in this mindset of, I don't like this house. This is so cramped. It's not working for us. So I had to get to the point where I said, okay, no, I am not going down this road. I'm not going to spend the entire time we live here feeling negatively about this house, feeling stressed, being on edge, feeling cramped, focusing on the negatives. We are going to make this house the best thing that ever happened to us. So I decided this home is a place of peace. This home is a place where God's love just pours in, out the windows and out the doors, and affects people on the street. This house is going to be the center of the presence of the Holy Spirit for the entire neighborhood. So I put a prayer room in my house and I started playing worship music, and I anointed my doors with oil and prayed over my house. Yes, I did. And I said, this house is a place of love, and this house is a place of peace, and this house is a place where people are going to feel welcome, and we are going to live our best life in this house. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. We built relationships. We built friendships. We worked on our marriage. We worked on our family. We homeschooled in that house. We had the best times in that house. But how much of that was because I changed how I felt in here, and how much of it was actually out here in the world? I don't know, because my house was still cramped and dirty, but I wasn't feeling that most days. I was just feeling the joy and the bliss of enjoying the place that I live. Let's talk about some harder examples. So one of my biggest things that has caused fear and panic in my life is I've dealt with heart palpitations. And I've had them tested a couple of times, and the doctors keep telling me there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to worry about. So don't worry about me. I'm fine. But still, when they would happen, I would get strings of them that would go on for 20 minutes, or I'd get like several of them right in a row. And it was so scary. Like, it would send me into a full-blown panic attack, and I would have to go lay down. And finally, I just said, you know what? I can't keep living this way, because I'd go into the panic attack, and then for the next several days, I'd be stressed about it, and I couldn't enjoy my life. And I said, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I looked at my thoughts, say, what am I thinking that's causing me to feel fear and panic? And here's the thoughts that were going through my head about it. I'm going to die. My great uncle dropped dead of a heart attack when he was 32. I'm 33. I'm right in that age range. I'm not going to be here to watch my kids grow up, and on and on and on. And I realized I have to change these thought patterns that I'm having. So I changed my thoughts from I'm going to die to I am living. I am here. I am breathing. I have such a beautiful life. And so now, whenever I have or notice a heart palpitation, instead of I'm going to die, my mind is going towards I'm alive. This is my reminder to get back in the moment. I'm not going to let fear of something that might happen hold me back from enjoying what I do have. So that's one example. Another huge example in my life has been my marriage. It's no secret that my husband and I have struggled in our marriage. We had some dark, dark times. Starting from about just a few months in on, we were struggling. And the thought patterns that I had about my marriage were, this isn't what I expected it to be. He isn't who I thought he was. I'm so confused about this. How did we get here? How did we end up here? Really, if I got down to what I was truly thinking and believing, it was, we're never going to have a good marriage. I don't see how we can choose to stay together and be committed together, but I don't ever see how we're going to make this great. We're probably just going to struggle for the rest of our lives. That's what I was thinking, unconsciously, actually, a lot of it. Changed my pattern from, how did we get there? How did we end up like this? We're probably never going to have a great marriage, to, I'm so in love with my husband. We have the best marriage. We are living our best life. We are living our passions. We are on the same page. We are so excited about our lives together. And contrary to what some people might think, this is not lying about the situation. If you just say it to yourself and that's as far as it goes, you might be lying about the situation. Yes, you do have to face the hard truths. You have to be honest in your conversations with each other. But I'm talking in your head. How are you thinking about it? You say these things to yourself. You choose new thought patterns to put into your mind, and you think about them until you feel them. When you do that, you make it real. It will change overnight just because you changed how you felt about it. You create in yourself that feeling of how it would feel if my husband and I were so in love, so passionate about our lives together, living our best life. We're on the same page. We're learning and growing together. He is my best friend, and he makes me a better person. You think those until you feel them, and when you create the feeling, you've got it. You have it, sister or brother. Once you create that feeling, you are that. You have it. It's the feeling where the magic is. The feeling is what makes it real, because when you have it in here so strongly that you feel it, you can't tell the difference between what's in here and what's out here. And what's out here, people respond. Your spouse will respond to that. When you start to raise that energy of how you're feeling about the relationship, they will get sucked in and it will be real. So that is point number 4. Point number 5 is watch your words. And this is a variation of change your story. I also got this from Tony Robbins, but this is more simple and more quick and easy to do. So it's what you say in your head, the words that you choose to describe things. Well, there are certain words that I do not use. I don't use the word sickness. I do not ever use the word sick to describe myself or anybody in my family, because I grew up as a very sickly child, and I had a whole mindset around the fact that anytime I come down with a cold, I'm going to be down for a week, and I'm going to catch everything that comes around, and my body is falling apart. And that's just how it was when we were kids, and I've grown out of that. I do not allow those thoughts in my head anymore. I'll say, I'm not feeling my best day. I'm not feeling 100% today. Again, some people may say that's not honest. You're lying about the situation. No, it's okay. I'll text my friend and say, hey, I'm not feeling great. Can you pray for me today? And I'm being 100% honest by saying that. But the words that I choose to describe it makes it real to me. So another example would be depressed, miserable. Those are all words that I don't use. Bored. So many different words like that I won't use, and I teach my kids. Watch the words that yes, be honest. You can be honest, and you can use better quality words to describe your life. If the worst day that you can have is a great day, then you're going to be living a pretty awesome life. So on most days, I have had a fantastic day. I've had an amazing day. My day has just been so good. I've absolutely loved this day. And then on days that aren't so great, I had a challenging day. I had a little bit of a rough day today, but it was an opportunity for me to grow. So Change the words that you say. Depressed, I think I mentioned that, is another word that I don't use. I spent so many years being depressed, and I'm not going down that path again. So something happens, maybe I'll say, that made me a little bit sad when you did that. But you know what? It will also help me to think about it this way so that I can understand you better. Or, yeah, that bothered me, but you know what? It also challenged me to grow in this area. So, again, I'm not talking about being dishonest and lying. We all need to be honest. I mean, there are those days I just need to text my friend or text my husband or call my parents, be like, hey, can you pray for me? I'm struggling in this area, or I'm not feeling great today. But it's all in the wording that you use and how you choose to see it. You can spin everything so that you can choose to see it as a positive, but you have to, again, you have to think it until you feel it. Don't just say the words and feel inside, oh, I'm lying to myself about this. I said sad, but really I'm miserable. No, you got to say sad. I'm just a little bit sad, and feel it. It's a muscle that you learn to use where you can choose how you feel, and the more you do it, the better you get. So you say it until you feel it. Just cut, like miserable, bored, depressed, sick, just whatever the words are for you that you feel would really pull you down. Cut them out of your vocabulary and replace them with something that's better quality word, and say it until you feel it, until you stop ever going to that place of feeling miserable or feeling depressed. My sixth point is to practice deciding, making a decision and then focusing, staying with that decision. That's something I'm not a decisive person, so I've had to learn to do this. But it's the best skill that you will learn when learning to manage your mental and emotional state, is learning to decide. So you can practice decision making in any area of your life, but I'm specifically referencing making a decision about how you're going to think and feel and experience your life. So you make a decision. I am not going down that road. I will not be depressed. You cut it off right here. The decision happens. The intention happens here. The feeling happens here. So you make the decision. You focus your mind. You do it until you feel it here, and you stick with it, and you carry it with you. So practicing that decision making, especially, and this is really helpful, when negative situations come up. Financial stress has been a big thing in our life, and the first response is stress. Just complete stress and panic and worry, and almost like you feel obligated that you have to go into this really dark space because you're a terrible parent and a terrible person, and how could you allow this to happen? Now, we haven't been in a situation that bad in a lot of years, but we still do have financial stress. And when a situation will come along, say, okay, not long ago, say it was about a year ago, we thought the transmission went out on our car. And I said, okay, I'm not going to that reaction of stress. I'm just not going there. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to pray and I'm going to give it to God, and I'm going to trust that something good will happen out of this. Even if worst case scenario, we need $3,000 to replace our transmission, somehow it's going to be a good thing for us, and I'm not going to that place of stress. I'm going to go immediately to that place of thankfulness and gratitude. This has happened, and it's going to be such a good thing for us. Thank you for the good that's going to come out of this. So that's something you can do, especially with financial stress. I grew up in a home where it was just so much financial stress, and I spent a lot of time being stressed about finances too, until I realized, you know what, I don't have to be. I'm doing this because that's how I was trained. I'm stressing because I think it's what I have to do, but I don't. I can just choose to be happy. Things are going to work out. God will provide, and the stress is an unnecessary step. So now when a financial stressful situation comes up, I just tell myself, I'm not going there. I won't be stressed. I'm just going to be thankful for the provision before it happens. And you say it until you feel it. Because saying I'm not going to be stressed, even if you are stressed, it's learning to make that decision. Cut it off right here. I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to be thankful and feel it here. And then my last point is number 7. Be careful what you surround yourself with and fill your mind with. So intentionally choose to surround yourself with people and fill your mind with music, books, podcasts, whatever it is that you do that help you to become mentally and emotionally more healthy. For me, my husband is my biggest person. We are both really into personal development and growth, so we learn and grow together. One of our hobbies is we go to the bookstore and we buy books together, and then we read together and we share podcasts, and we both listen to podcasts at work, and then we share what we're learning and how we're growing, and just having that one person who's my best friend and we're doing this together, such a huge motivator for me. Fill your mind. If you're really struggling, I find for myself, if I am really struggling with my mental and emotional state, one of the best things that I can do is just let somebody else take over for a while. So I'll put somebody on to listen to who I know will help me get into the right frame of mind. Some of my favorites are Joyce Meyer, Carolyn Leaf, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, Sue Morter. I could go on and on and on. Everybody's going to have their own list of the people that speak to them. Howard Storm is another one. I really love the Rachel Hollis podcast. But everybody's going to have their own list of people that speak to them, their own type of music. I love worship music. I personally love worship music because it helps me get in that frame of mind. I also like ambient instrumental music because it helps me get in the frame of mind where I can easily create, because this is what you're doing with your mind and emotions. You're creating. And certain types of music help me create, keep me focused on my purpose. My favorite worship song right now is For the One by Jen Johnson, because it's about loving people and that's my purpose. I also like So Good. I can't remember who sings it. I think it's Bethel Worship, because it's about gratitude. And so I listen to it over and over and over about how God is so good and how thankful and grateful I am, and it really helps me keep in the mood of gratitude. So pick what you're listening to. You will grow by leaps and bounds when you're putting positive things into your mind. So I hope this video makes sense. I hope that it is helpful for someone. Thank you so much for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video if you know anyone that it could be helpful to. Be loved, be happy, be at peace, and thank you for watching.